Part 59. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 582. The general idea was that the two strangers in Lu Zhenjia's room last night were all demon spirits in his own mind. His son was only in his teens and had some talent in this way, so he pampered him and taught him some low-level demon spirit summoning techniques. He didn't expect that this kid would send these demon spirits out last night to scare people. The middle-aged man sat here and apologized again. I am really sorry for this distinguished guest. The dog is not sensible and has caused you trouble. Lu Zhenjia just looked at him indifferently. I am the only one in our Huiguo delegation on this whole floor who is an ordinary person, but your son is quite good at picking people. The middle-aged man choked. He felt a little aggrieved. As a member of the Taoist sect, when he faced ordinary people, he always felt that he was superior to others. In his opinion, even if his son was wrong first, but as a member of the Taoist sect, he condescended to apologize to this ordinary person in person, and he didn't suffer any real harm. How could the other party still care about it? He whispered, This is indeed a coincidence. Lu Zhenjia thought for a while and said, Got it? He said to the middle-aged man, If there is nothing else, sir, you can leave, please don't disturb our meal. It's fine if you insist on calling it a coincidence. Hearing this, the middle-aged man breathed a sigh of relief, and put on a smile on his face. Thank you for your understanding. However, I still have a merciless request. He couldn't finish his sentence. Because Jinli stood up. At this moment, her petite body erupted with astonishing coercion. The middle-aged man's complexion changed, and he took 2 steps back, and quickly formed a handprint on his hand, Qifeng. Soon, a woman in a gorgeous red feather coat appeared in the air. As soon as she appeared, the air became hot, and a red light flashed all over her body, blocking the pressure from Jinli for the middle-aged man. Jinli let out a "huh" and glanced at the woman in feather clothes. With just one glance, she sneered, It's just that a miscellaneous bird with a little bloodline dares to call itself Phoenix. The woman in the feather coat turned pale at the first glance, her aura instantly weakened, she covered her heart and took a few steps back. She glanced at Jinli in fear, and then looked at the middle-aged man in horror. My lord, where is this big man from? Middle-aged man. Qifeng is one of the most powerful demon spirits under his command. Just a face-to-face? You didn't even make a move, so you were scared like this? He looked at Jinli in amazement, unable to grasp the true strength of this seemingly young Huiguo woman, and did not dare to act rashly again. Jinli looked at him again. My boyfriend and I are in a good mood today. Last night, we don't want to argue with you anymore. It doesn't mean we like you in our hearts. Are you rushing up to make a request? Who will give it to you, your face? The beautiful translator swallowed, and repeated the words to the middle-aged man with a trembling voice. The middle-aged man's complexion suddenly became as dark as the bottom of a pot. His family is considered a prominent family in the Sun Kingdom. Although he is not a direct descendant, his father and brother are very competitive, and this line is also very respectable in the entire clan. Normally, who would dare to talk to him like that? He wanted to say something more, but Jinli took a slight step forward. Starting from her feet, the hard ground began to crack inch by inch, and the cracks like spider webs continued to expand. The heavy pressure fell on the man and the demon spirit, and they both vomited blood. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 583. It's real vomiting blood. Lu Zhenjia watched from the side. Strangely, he didn't feel any inappropriateness, on the contrary, he felt emotional. My girlfriend is really amazing. Jinli is awesome. But the two people on the opposite side, no, one person and one demon spirit are not so comfortable. They looked at Jinli in horror. Is this really the power that humans can possess? Seeing their eyes, Jinli sighed innocently, "It's very annoying to meet people like you all the time. I talk to you well, but I always refuse to listen and insist on me doing it. It's really tiring." Untouched translation. She spoke the words quickly in a low voice. Middle-aged man. Demon spirit Chifeng. Before the master could speak, Chifeng immediately bowed down and prostrated herself on the ground. "I offended you, please forgive me, don't take offense." Her master is a person who has no strength but face, sometimes it is very unclear. If at such a time, he had a twitch of his brain, he still wanted to argue with this powerful adult. Chifeng felt that he had a good life as a monster, and was not very willing to seek death. What's more, the Yaesu world is more realistic, and the strong are respected. She didn't feel humiliated when she knelt down in front of such a strong man. The middle-aged man choked when he saw his demon spirit doing this, but he didn't say anything, and apologized with a wry face. "That's right." Jinli took that kick back lightly and deftly. Accompanied by her movements, a silver light emerged from the ground, and the cracked ground seemed to be reintegrated by some invisible energy, and it was restored as clean as new. This move successfully made one person and one demon spirit dumbfounded again, and they were thankful in their hearts that they didn't choose to use their mouths just now. It is not difficult to break such a hard ground with one foot, even Chifeng can do it by herself. It is 10 times more difficult to restore something that has been destroyed than to simply destroy it. The middle-aged man didn't dare to fart anymore, so he turned around and left without saying a word. Jinli pursed her lips in the direction of the door, turned her head to look at the dining car that was left here, and there was only pure happiness in her expression. "Come on, Lu Genja, I heard that the chef in this hotel is very good, let's have a big meal." Lu Genja watched Jinli transform from a demon king who seemed to be able to destroy the world into a cute and sweet little fairy in a second. It was strange that he didn't have any fear in his heart. "I feel that the little fairy who has shown her true nature in front of her is even cuter. 800 meters is not enough for the filter of love." The two began to enjoy breakfast happily. Before they finished eating, Qin Jiangzi came. As soon as he entered the door, he saw the luxurious breakfast configuration of the two of them. He mistakenly thought that the two ordered it by themselves, and couldn't help showing a look of envy. Rich dad is indeed a rich dad, and their entire mission combined, breakfast is just that much. And that's just in terms of quantity. In terms of price, this place is probably worth a month's breakfast for all the disciples in mission. Steamed buns, deep-fried dough sticks, soy milk, what do you understand? Jinli waved at him. "Qin Jiangzi, have you eaten? If you haven't eaten, let's go together." Qin Jiangzi ate breakfast. But poor people are probably used to being poor. Even if everything was reimbursed by Lu's father, the poor Qin Jiangzi Bangshan would not dare to order some outrageously expensive dishes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 584. But at this moment, all the dishes on the table in front of him were Qin Jiangzi's reluctant to order. Many. What a waste. It is certainly impossible for him to watch such shameful things as waste happen under his nose. So Qin Jiangzi sat down. Start eating. Bite it down, Wu. Feeling the shuddering delicious taste on the tip of his tongue, Qin Jiangzi was moved and thought in his heart, so the rumors on the internet are true. Money can indeed make people happy. Even eating can be happier than others. At some point, Jinli and Lu Genja stopped what they were doing. They stared dumbfounded at Qin Jiangzi sweeping up the breakfast on the table with a gesture like a whirling cloud. Anyway, immortal cultivators will not be overwhelmed. Jinli and Lu Genja quietly exchanged glances. Jinli, I just told you that mission is so poor that they can't even afford good food. Lu Zhenjie, understood. The overlord, who has never been short of money, couldn't understand this intuitively before. So, the two waited patiently for a long time, and finally waited until Qin Jiangzi was satisfied. He patted his non-existent belly in satisfaction, and looked at the two of them. "Thank you for your hospitality." Lu Zhenjie moved his lips and said, "Actually." Qin Jiangzi looked at him. Lu Zhenjie continued, "The Lu family can buy thousands of hotels like this at will, or it doesn't matter if they buy this group." Qin Jiangzi, what does the gold master's father mean by this sentence? Lu Zhenjie expressed his meaning in the next sentence, "So, you mission, including all the delegations this time, don't need to save money for me." Qin Jiangzi. He looked at Lu Zhenjie incomprehensibly, unable to understand what he said. Lu Zhenjie could only speak more bluntly, "Everyone wants to eat and buy whatever they want. You don't have to worry about it, and you don't need to consider the price." Qin Jiangzi only felt that at this moment, the figure of the man in front of him suddenly became taller, turning into a shining golden statue. Then the gleaming golden father moved his mouth and said something that moved him very much, "The Lu family is not short of this little money." Qin Jiangzi, "All right, Mr. Lu. It was so dangerous that I almost yelled out my father." Asterisk. After eating and drinking, it's time to start talking about serious things. That's right, Qin Yangzi came to see the two of them not for a big meal, but for serious business. It's like this. The person behind the prank in Mr. Lu's room last night has been found out. He is the youngest son of the person in charge of this hotel, Qin Yangzi said. Jinli and Lu Zhenjie looked at each other, thinking that the man was not lying. Qin Jiangzi continued to talk about it. They, mission, are best at dealing with these supernatural events. In particular, the person behind the scene is a novice at all, and he can't even clean the tail. Qin Yangzi quickly found out about the boy named Xiao Beiji. It was quickly confirmed that this was indeed a prank, not some high-end game such as plotting to murder someone. The reason is also very simple. Xiao Beiji's sister Xiao Beixuzi is also an onmyoji. 2 years ago, she met a young man from the Huiguo Suanmen through an exchange competition and fell in love with him at first sight. But they didn't have the same thoughts for her, so they politely refused. Originally this was a normal thing, that little Beixuzi was probably mentally abnormal, and committed suicide in a fit of anger although he failed. But Xiao Beiji still hated that Huiguo person because of this, and by the way, opened a map gun, hating all Huiguo Suanmen people. 4 more. See you later. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 585. Jinli, who heard the inside story. She wished she could understand what little Bao Suezi was thinking. She was about to commit suicide if she was rejected. She couldn't help but look at Lu Zhenjie. "You are really strong. Having been rejected by the little fairy so many times, it's all good." Lu Zhenjie. Jinli continued, "That little Beiji is also a psychopath. His sister committed suicide, what's the matter with others? Can you hate this too? Then contact the person who came to apologize earlier. It should be the middle-aged man who is the father of both of them." Jinli came to a conclusion, "This little Beijia, the whole family is crazy, right?" Both Qin Jiangzi and Lu Zhenjie said that I agree with Jinli's thoughts. Qin Jiangzi continued to talk about the experience of last night. That little Beiji knew that Huiguo's Taoist sect was full of stubble, and that most people could abuse him completely. He found out some connections and found out that there was an ordinary person in the delegation who didn't understand anything. That's fine, it's him. Lu Zhenjie. It turned out that he was indeed a rookie who was selected. There is a very painful and angry feeling. But there was nothing he could do about it. He seemed to be the worst man in the entire delegation. Oops, even more angry. Qin Jiangzi continued, "Now that I know it's not a big conspiracy, it's just a prank, of course the nature is different. And I checked, the two demon spirits are indeed not murderous, they are just trying to scare you, no intending to kill you. Lugenja. Oh, then do I still have to thank him? Qinjiangzi failed to understand the inner complaints of the Gold Master's father. He said in a very fairy-like manner, since he is just a child and has not killed anyone, our mission has always been a school of morality, so of course we will not do anything crazy. However, as soon as these words came out, Lu Zhenjia and Jinli both looked at him. I always feel that this person's words don't seem to be credible. Lu Zhenjia asked cautiously, then Daoist Qinjiangzi, what have you done? Qingyangzi smiled lightly, stretched out his hand to touch his flowing goatee, his whole person looked like an expert who was about to become a god. But the words that come out of the mouth are not so beautiful. Oh, since his kid is just playing a prank with us, of course we can't take it too seriously, just play a prank game with him. Mischief. As soon as Lu Zhenjia thought about it, he remembered that he met 3 ghosts in the Daoist Association that day. By the way, I thought of the 3 moon people who were taken care of by the yin spirit. Jinli blinked and asked, what kind of prank? Qinjiangzi looked upright. I saw the appearance of the demon spirit sent by that little friend, and I think that in his ordinary life, he probably prefers excitement. In this case, I decided to let him experience it at night, which he would never feel normally. Stimulate. Asterisk. Time goes back to last night. Xiaobeiji didn't live in this hotel, but Xiaobeo's family is rich, and they have a house in this commercial center. He lived in this house tonight, imagining how the man in Huiguo was frightened by himself. The first to come back was Serge, the water demon. That's right, the girl who got out of the floor. Xiaobeiji was a little puzzled, isn't this speed too fast? Could it be that the man from Hua country is so unintimidated? Unexpectedly, when he asked, the water demon Serge was very wronged, my lord, he can't understand our sun language. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 586. Little Beiji. He was so angry that his eyes almost went dark. Idiot. You can't even hear such an obvious deception. Sure enough, although these low-level demon spirits are usually easy to use, they are not useful at critical times. The IQ is too low. That flower country man is not simple. Ordinary people would have been terrified if they encountered such an abnormal situation, and they would not have the intention to fool the demon spirit. But don't be afraid. He made 2-handed preparations. The water demon is not good, but the paper demon is always possible, right? The paper demon does not need to speak, it can directly create illusions, and its appearance can also bluff people. At that time, he must let the paper demon describe the embarrassment of the man from Huiguo. Xiaobeiji thought so in his heart. But after waiting for a while, he didn't wait for the paper demon to come back. Instead, he felt a pain in his heart and spit out a mouthful of blood. Xiaobeiji was a little scared. There is a contract signed between the demon spirit and the master. If the spirit is hurt, he can sense it. The paper demon was a demon spirit that his father gave him for self-defense. His reaction now, maybe it was not as simple as being injured, but the paper demon died directly. Although Xiaobeiji is a bit sick, his IQ is still online. Without further ado, he quickly took out his mobile phone to call his father for help. The paper demon who could easily kill him was probably not a simple person. In case of retaliation against him, he might not be able to fight back. But before the call was made, he was horrified to find that he couldn't move. A cold feeling enveloped him. A plain white hand stretched out from behind and gently took down the mobile phone he held in his hand. Oh, is that you, the young master? The cold breath brushed behind his ears, causing goosebumps. Little Beiji. The next moment, he found that he could move. He turned his head in a panic, and saw a very beautiful woman standing in front of him. She was wearing the traditional cheongsam of Hwagyo. She looked good, with exquisite makeup and outstanding temperament. But Xiao Beiji didn't have the heart to appreciate it. At this time, the woman who came to his house in this way is absolutely impossible to be a normal person. He turned his head and was about to run, but as soon as he turned his head, he bumped into a body. It's a short little girl. Little Beiji was scared and didn't have time to take a closer look, so he stretched out his hand and pushed it, which happened to be on the shoulder and neck of the little girl. Who would have known that with such a light push, that slender neck would be so fragile that it would be broken? The pale head fell to the ground with a gurgle, and rolled a few times. The little girl lay on the ground with her unclosed eyes, staring straight at him. In the next second, the headless body that was still standing suddenly spurted out a large stream of thick blood and covered his face. Xiao Beiji, Asterisk. Except Xiao Beiji, no one knew how he passed that night. Qin Jiangzi knew the bad tastes of his old friends, and he didn't even want them to describe it to him. It affected his appetite. Little Beiji was dizzy and couldn't pass out, and he couldn't die. He was played with by 3 ghosts all night like a toy. When the next day dawned and the 3 of them reluctantly left, he was still doubting, am I dead or alive? Then he suddenly woke up, and called his own father with snot and tears, begging him to save him. 6 more. I will try my best to update it again, and ask for a monthly ticket. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 587. After his father Xiao Beisaburo heard his cry, he scolded him angrily at first, and then got a headache. No matter what, this is his own son. Scolding is cursing, but you still have to protect it. So, early in the morning, he came to apologize to Jin Li. Xiao Beisaburo originally thought that this Lu Zhenjia was just an ordinary person, so there was no need to pay too much attention to it. Of course he knew that Lu Zhenjia was rich, very rich, very rich. But Xiaobeo's family is also rich. They are not only rich, they also have a lofty status in the Sun Kingdom. And these positions are all brought about by powerful forces. In the Sun Kingdom, those powerful dignitaries and rich chaebol are very polite when facing Xiaobeo's family of Onmyoges. This also contributed to his arrogant character. No matter how powerful he is just a fragile ordinary person. Therefore, when Saburo Xiaobeo apologized at the beginning, his posture may not be too low. In his opinion, in his capacity, being able to come and apologize to Lu Zhenjia in person is already enough for him. In fact, he came here to apologize in person, not to an ordinary person like Lu Zhenjia at all. Instead, tell it to Jin Li, to the masters of the ghosts who went to the house last night. What he didn't expect was that the attitudes of these people from Hua country were so tough. What he didn't even expect was that this seemingly young woman from Huaguo could be so powerful. She didn't even make a move, just a look, and Qi Feng was seriously injured. Qi Feng is not a lowly demon spirit like the water demon or the paper demon. Even in the world of Onmyoges, Qi Feng can be considered a big monster. Between his own life and the life of his son, Xiaobeo Saburo decisively chose himself, got up and rolled away quickly. Asterisk. Hearing Qin Jiangzi's words, Jin Li and Lu Zhenjia, a little speechless, and a little want to laugh. Jin Li was too lazy to bear it, so she laughed out loud, and asked after a while, so, is it really Suero and the 3 of them? Qin Jiangzi nodded, they are all overwhelmed. When they heard that there is a chance to come out to have fun, how can they give other yin spirits a chance? Jin Li couldn't help but sympathize with that little Beiji. She has seen the fighting power of the 3 of Suero before. Gao Shixing and his 3 people from the moon country were all decent people when they met the 3 ghosts. Thinking of this, she wanted to laugh again. Jinli thought of something, and asked again, then, is that the case of little Beiji over? Qin Jiangzi played his dog-legged style very steadily. It depends on what fellow deist Jinli and Mr. Lu mean. Jinli frowned. She took a look at Lu Zhenjia and said, originally, he asked the demon spirit to scare Lu Zhenjia once, and if we scare him back, the matter will be settled. But that little Bayasaburo, the way he came this morning, I'm sorry dislike. She said angrily, don't think I can't see it. He looks down on Lu Zhenjia. Lu Zhenjia's heart warmed up, and he said that Jinli really still has me in his heart. The next moment, Jinli's words came again, with his ugly face, where does he have the confidence to look down on Lu Zhenjia? Lu Zhenjia. Well, Jinli really still has my face in her heart. BA is always a boss with an optimistic attitude. I like my face in my heart. My face is mine. Round up. If you like my face, you like me. Today is also a day to be liked by Jinli. 7 more. Ah, another day of scouting. See you tomorrow, and continue to ask for monthly tickets. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 588. Boss BA is brainwashing himself, and Jinli and Qin Jiangzi have reached a consensus on this matter. Jinli, if you look down on Lu Zhenjia, you look down on me. Qin Jiangzi, yes. Jinli, if you look down on me, I will be unhappy. Qin Jiangzi, yes. Jinli, so, this is not over. Qin Jiangzi, good. The 2 looked at Lu Zhenjia in unison. Lu Zhenjia. Jinli asked, what do you think is the best way to deal with Xiao Beiji? Or, Xiao Bayasaburo will not let him go. Lu Zhenjia. Girlfriend looks a bit murderous. But the cruel Jinli is just as cute. He asked, if we are like this, won't it affect the exchange conference? BA is always a boss with a sense of teamwork, and he doesn't want to affect the entire team because of his personal affairs. Qin Jiangzi said quickly, Mr. Lu, please rest assured that this little Beiji is not yet old enough to participate in the exchange conference. The rules on the surface are that it is not allowed to do anything to the participants in private, and other people don't care. As long as no one is killed. Consciousness is, you can make whatever you want, but you can make it vigorously. Lu Zhenjia thought for a while, and said, since he only intended to play a prank and wanted to scare me, it's fine to fight an eye for an eye. Jinli nodded, okay. She looked at Qin Jiangzi. Qin Jiangzi nodded, I promise I won't scare him to death. Asterisk. After Qin Jiangzi left, Jinli walked around Lu Zhenjia and looked him up and down. Lu Zhenjia was a little puzzled by her, and couldn't help but ask, what's wrong? Jinli looked at him for a while, but couldn't remember any information about this face. She asked him, you? She originally wanted to ask Lu Zhenjia if he remembered anything, but suddenly she remembered the man's shocked face when he saw a Taoist, so obviously he had completely forgotten it. She changed her words, have you ever had any strange dreams? Lu Zhenjia didn't know, so, for example. Jinli, that's the kind of dream that is very different from your real life, like another world, or another life. Lu Zhenjia, no. There are more realistic ones, for example, he often dreams that he sleeps in a pile of jewels, which is very comfortable. Strange. Lu Zhenjia asked sharply, what's so strange, why did you suddenly ask me such a strange question? His thoughts were spinning quickly, thinking about Jinli's purpose for asking himself this question. Jinli didn't hide it at all, I don't think your identity is simple. Lu Zhenjia. Jinli talked about the previous paper demon, didn't you say that the paper demon touched you and was burned to ashes by a golden flame? Lu Zhenjia nodded. He also felt that Jinli was very powerful. Jinli said, "The golden flame has nothing to do with me. I guess it has something to do with yourself." Lu Zhenjie was stunned. "Me?" Jinli affirmed, "You." "Me?" Lu Zhenjie was at a loss, but this is the first time I've seen this kind of golden flame after living for more than 20 years. If it was his own, how could he not know anything? Jinli said, "You have lived for more than 20 years, and this is the first time you have encountered a demon spirit who attacked you, right?" Lu Zhenjie thought it made sense. Jinli continued, "Think about it again, you are not disturbed by any evil methods, and you are very lucky. I should have thought of it earlier. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess." Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 589. Lu Zhenjie said that he was a little moved. He almost couldn't wait to ask Jinli, "What did you think of?" Jinli said, "Oh, I just can't remember. Always felt very familiar." Lu Zhenjie. He was in a hurry and had no choice but to take Jinli. It is undeniable that at this moment he was very excited. Jinli said he was very unusual. Does this mean that he is very likely to be a god who has gone down to earth? If he is also a god, then the problems that have been troubling him all this time will not exist. He will also have a long time, even if the fish is slow to wake up, it doesn't matter, he can guard her and wait for her. As long as he thought of this possibility, he couldn't restrain his excitement. However, the little silly fish thought for a long time, but couldn't get it right. After all, she is a house fish in the heaven, and the thing she loves most in her life is lying in her own tianqi and spitting bubbles comfortably, so she doesn't know many gods. In particular, there are more and more new generations of gods in the heavens now. For an ancient god like her, if she goes out casually, it will cause great turmoil. Those who find it troublesome will of course become more and more homebound. Moreover, Jinli really didn't have any impression of Lu Zhenjie's face. Lu Zhenjie sighed helplessly, "Forget it, it's okay." This was just Jinli's guess, so he shouldn't have too much expectation. Don't expect the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Asterisk. Everyone lived in the same building, and the fact that the ordinary person in the Hua Kingdom delegation was attacked by a demon spirit could not be concealed at all. Everyone reacts differently to this kind of thing. Priests of the Temple of Light, it's none of my business. The Ice and Snow Temple didn't even bother to say anything. The wizards of the wilderness grabbed their crystal balls and laughed strangely. The trash of the Sun Kingdom can't even be dealt with by ordinary people. The castle witches who love to fight, I can't wait, I want to fight these powerful people from Hua country. The Duke of Cappadocia who wanted to do it, but didn't have time. He also cursed it trash. But I was also glad that the fool from the Sun Kingdom had found the way for himself. It is said that the ordinary person has a very strong defensive magic weapon on his body, and ordinary people can't get close to him at all. Now he lived with Jinli even more. Jinli. The Duke of Cappadocia felt a little apprehensive when he thought of his brief fight with Jinli. It seems that catching this flower country man is not as easy as imagined. But he was a little happy. Huaguo seemed to take this man very seriously, and so did Jinli. This is a good thing. The more important this man is, the more he can blackmail him and make those Hua country people make greater compromises. Asterisk. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the exchange competition. Very early on, a waiter wearing the traditional costume of the Sun Kingdom came to inform everyone to get up. After breakfast, everyone went to the hotel's largest banquet hall. Lu Zhenjie was still thinking about where this Taoist exchange conference would be held, when he saw the waiters walking to the gate and gesturing to the guests to come in. Lu Zhenjie didn't say anything, and walked in with the rest of Huaguo. Some familiar dizziness came from my mind. Looking back, the scene in front of me has changed drastically. Lu Zhenjie blinked his eyes, looked at the very different world in front of him, and said to himself that fortunately, he had opened his eyes in the Daoist Association. See you tonight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 590. This is a cherry blossom forest that can't be seen at a glance. It is not the flowering period now, but the cherry blossoms here are in full bloom, and the cherry blossom petals are constantly falling in the air. Beneath the trees is soft green grass. This rare beauty did not arouse much interest from everyone. Everyone knows that the more you look at a beautiful and harmonious place, the more dangerous it may be. Hi, all adults. Suddenly, a woman in a pink dress appeared in midair. She is very beautiful, with a gentle temperament and a beautiful outline. Everyone looked at her. My name is Sakura, and I am the owner of this cherry blossom forest. All adults participating in the competition, your first checkpoint is this cherry blossom forest. Lu Zhenjia looked at the woman in midair, and asked in a low voice, "Isn't this a human?" Jinli just glanced at it and then shook her head, not very interested. "It's a flower demon." Flower demon? Monster? Lu Zhenjia hadn't seen a living monster yet. He looked at the female monster curiously, and looked at it. It was no different from a human being. Jinli was a little unhappy. She stretched out her hand and waved it in front of Lu Zhenjia's eyes. "Why do you keep looking at her? Does she look as good as me?" The cherry blossom demon spirit in midair. She glanced this way quietly, and when she touched Jinli's body, she seemed to be burned, and she hurriedly retracted it. "Forget it, it has nothing to do with me." Lu Zhenjia glanced at Jinli in surprise, then smiled at her unhappy expression. He raised his hand and boldly took Jinli's finger in front of his eyes. He was in a good mood. "I'm just a little curious, so I won't watch it now. There is nothing more beautiful than a little fairy in the sky and on the earth. Jinli is really a coaxable little fairy. Compliment her for being good looking, and she feels much better." She snorted softly and said, "You are a person with a girlfriend now. Didn't you people say that a man with a girlfriend can't see other women?" Lu Zhenjia asked, "Does Jinli want me to be like everyone else?" Jinli nodded. Lu Zhenjia's eyes lit up. "But someone else's girlfriend can hug and hold her high." "Jinli?" Lu Zhenjia looked at her expectantly. Jinli thought about it in embarrassment, made a decision, stretched out his hand, and pointed to the cherry blossom demon spirit in the air. "Then you should continue to look at her." Lu Zhenjia. Heartbroken. Others eavesdropping on the side. In fact, it can't be called eavesdropping, because everyone is standing here at the moment, and the two of them chatted without opening an enchantment, and all the people present are people from the Taoist sect who are not small. So, whether you want to hear it or not, you hear it. The Blood Duke still had some free time to think. Jinli didn't like this man as he expected, and he wanted to protect it only for his own face. The cherry blossom demon spirit in mid-air twitched the corner of his mouth, coughed lightly, and drew everyone's distracted attention back to himself. "Now, let me talk about the rules of this round. This cherry blossom forest is a checkpoint set up by dozens of Taoist seniors after discussions and deliberations. There are various formations inside: killing formations, maze formations, miasma formations, and so on. Both the difficulty and the degree of danger have been determined after extremely rigorous tests. Difficulty enough, but not life-threatening." The cherry blossom demon said softly, "After half a day, if you walk out of this cherry blossom forest, you will be considered as having passed the first round of the competition. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess." Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 591. After she finished speaking, she looked at the others. "My lords who are not participating in the competition, please rest in the courtyard for a while. We will have a dancer to perform for you." Those who do not participate in the competition are naturally the Duke of Qinjiang's Cappadocia, who basically belong to the class of townspeople. As the organizer, Sun Island certainly couldn't offend these bosses, nor could it make people sit and wait. All kinds of thoughtful arrangements had already been made. This is also the routine process of the Suanman exchange competition. As the only ordinary person on the scene, Lu Zhenjie logically wanted to go to the courtyard with Qing Yangzi and the others to wait. He was a little worried about Jin Li and couldn't help but look at him. Seeing this, Qin Jiangzi laughed loudly. "Mr. Lu, you don't have to worry. Fellow Daoist Jin Li is very strong. In the first round of such a small level, she won't be able to defeat her." Lu Zhenjie knew that Jin Li was a little fairy, and also knew that she was very powerful. But she said that she has only recovered 20% of her divine power. What should she do if she encounters a very dangerous situation? He didn't know that 20% of the divine power of an ancient god is very important for a Taoist in this world. What a terrible force! Jin Li didn't feel anything at first. But standing here now, looking at Lu Zhenjie's pitiful, straight female filter appearance, he felt a little soft-hearted. All the love manuals in the world say that a girlfriend should be pampered. The reverse is also the same, boyfriends also want to be pampered. Lu Zhenjie looked worried and reluctant. Tisk, Jin Li thought a little incomprehensibly and helpfully, human beings are fragile and delicate. However, since your boyfriend is worried, just take him with you and let him follow you. She looked up at the cherry blossom demon spirit and said, "Can you bring someone?" The cherry blossom demon was taken aback. She didn't understand. Jin Li pointed to Lu Zhenjie, "My boyfriend, an ordinary human, can you take him in with you?" Everyone, including the demon spirit, knew about Lu Zhenjie's situation when he entered the barrier. Cherry blossom demon spirit hesitated. The regulations only say that the use of external force and strong foreign aid is not allowed, but it does not say that it is not allowed to bring oil bottles. She said, "My lord, if you bring the human on you, it will be much more difficult to pass the level. Because this means that when you break the formation, you not only have to take care of yourself, but also take care of an ordinary person who has no abilities." Jin Li waved her hand indifferently. "You don't have to worry about this." Now Lu Zhenjie was not happy. "I'd better wait outside with Qin Jiangzi and the others." His words froze. Jin Li's voice sounded in his mind, "You are a real person. You obviously want to follow me again, but you don't want to take me with you. What the hell do you want? Fish really don't understand." Lu Zhenjie glanced at the others, and saw that no one had noticed their chat. He tried to say in his heart, "It's not that I don't want to, I'm just afraid that I will become your drag." Jin Li took a look at Lu Zhenjie. "You really look like a drag." Lu Zhenjie: "I don't know how many times I have pierced my heart." But Jin Li followed up and said, "However, this kind of small formation is just like playing, let alone bring one, even if I lead the whole team to lie down and win together, it doesn't matter." Lu Zhenjie. Lu Zhenjie was convinced. He and Jin Li, in the eyes of everyone who said these two are crazy, entered the cherry blossom forest holding hands. If you ignore the faint murderous look of the cherry blossom forest, just looking at the background, it's quite romantic. Fourth update. Continue later.